Hi, we're gonna give it a few more minutes and see if more people show up. Can you guys hear me okay? Maybe just put something in the chat if you can hear me. Okay, perfect. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and get started. Good morning, everybody. Happy Tuesday. My name's Jordan, and then Kayla's here as well. We're gonna go through this timekeeping training with you. I'm gonna go ahead and share my screen. Let me know if you can see it. Okay. Andrew, it looked like you raised your hand. Do you have a question, or does that mean you can see it, the screen? You can see it? Okay, perfect. So I'm gonna go over how the employees would go about clocking in and out or requesting time off. So the first thing to make note is you wanna make sure that you go to higherlevel.myisolve.com, and we always recommend using Google Chrome. Also, like down here, you can see our higher level logo. That's how you know you're on the right screen. If you try to log in, if you just go to like myisolve.com and try to log in, it's going to give you an error and you're not going to be able to log in correctly. So, I'm going to go ahead and log in as myself. Okay, so this is what the like employee self-service screen looks like. There's also a new cloud service that I'll show you as well. But from here, the clock in and out, they can click this little clock icon and it drops down, and you have 3 different options. So the first one is quick punch, and if you click that, it's just going to punch you in right then and there, and it'll give you this little like saved, accepted thing that the punch was saved. And there's also detailed punch. So this is going to be where it's going to have the time. You can do in, out, transfer. They could type any notes if they wanted to. You can also select meal usually, right? If you have that set up. Yeah. If you had any meal or break rules set up, they would be able to pull that in right there as well. So this is just obviously a little more detailed. That's why it's called detailed punch for the employee. And then there's also submit a missed punch. So they could do the date here. You could select it from the calendar, the time. Again, they would be able to select the type and the mode, in or out. If it's auto, like, and there's already a punch in and it would be like the punch out, it'll group those 2 together. So those are the different ways that they could clock in and out. Does time keep going? Can you make this bigger? So Crystal, it looks like you asked, does timekeeping go away completely? Can you maybe expand on that a little bit? No. Okay. I'm gonna go into requesting time off now. Oh wait. Yes, we will still process payroll in timekeeping. Oh, so right now you have like timekeeping and employer on demand? Usually for the people we're moving from employer on demand and they have timekeeping into iSolved, we typically would set up timekeeping in iSolved for them. So I know there's a survey that has to be filled out, and then obviously you'll get a one-on-one training more about going through like the timekeeping process. Okay, so if the employees want to request time off, so over here on the left, there is the time card. You can click that, and then this would also be where they could see their punches. So here it shows that punch I made. And then up here in the bar, there's also request time off. So they would just go to click that. And then here they would choose their absence policy. So depending for your company, what absence policies they have. They would just go to select that, the date that they would want to do, the start time. So let's say they're taking the whole day, like I was taking the whole day off. I would just type in 8 in the morning, and I would do 8 hours, and it would be for the whole day. They could put comments here if they want, saying why they would need time off, and then they would just press save, and then that would go to the manager. Would get an email that says this person put in a time off request, and then once approved, the employee would get an email back that says whether or not it was approved or declined. Also here, time off balances. This is where they would go to see their balances. So they have one for each time or each like absence policy set up. So I'm going to show you the new cloud service. So there was a little try our new look. This is what that would look like. This does need to be turned on for your company. So it's not just going to automatically switch over for you. But here they have the option to click here and go to their time card. And here it also shows where I punched in at. Whoops, sorry. The time I punched in at. It has a time off up here. So it has the balances there. And then this little clock there is a punch. I might have punched multiple times. But there is where they would punch, and then the pay and tax, they could update. It would show the direct deposit information, pay history, their year-end forms, tax forms, all of that. If that would be in there for them to go, like to be able to get their pay stubs and everything. Okay, so Kayla's gonna start talking about navigating through the time cards themselves.
Hello, everybody. My name is Kayla, and I am an implementation coordinator here at Higher Level. Let me figure out how to get out of Jordan's. Here we go. Sign out. And log out again. Okay. So I'm going to log in as a client user would see. So more of how you'll see I solved if you are going in and editing time cards or verifying time. So first, sorry, I need to go to the correct demo account. Okay. So whenever you log in, it'll likely just take you straight to your company, but I need to go here. Okay. So all right, so if you want to navigate through time cards, the time cards are located in employee self-service, and then this expandable time, and then time card. All right, and so here you can see a list of all of your employees. There may be filtering options up here. If you have a lot, you need to filter through employees. I'm going to choose an hourly employee here, Noah. Okay, and you can also navigate through your employees using this arrow back and forth. It'll go through your employees one by one, or you can click on that list button and then choose another employee if you need to do that also. So I'll go back to Noah here. You can also navigate through your time card using these arrows. It'll take you through each either pay period, or you can set it at a week view or even just a day view. think the most common one is probably pay period, so you can see everything for one pay. And then you can navigate through each pay period with those arrows. To edit a time card, let's just go to the beginning of this week here, or this pay period, and say, which if they're clocking in and out, they'll have punches here, but I'll just show you how to add a punch. You can click on an area, which in this yellow outline here shows you where you are in the time card, so that if you're way out here and it's hard to see straight across, you can see what time you're at and where you're punching more easily. But I can click just once on, say, 8 o'clock Monday morning, and you can click hour if you want to put in a range of hours. You can go straight into that and say he works 8 to 5. You can select whether it's normal time, or if you have meal and break rules set up, you can choose if these are hours for meals or breaks, and then here's a duration. And you can also add notes if you need. And save. It shows up gray here, so if I click on show results, it'll put that time in here. And it says he's missing a meal. So let's go to one that I was using earlier, Regina. Yeah, okay, so let's practice that again. You can also click on punch. So instead of clicking on hours where it gives you a range of hours you can put in, this is just one punch. You can select whether it's for normal hours or for a meal or break rule. And then you can also specify whether this is in or out time, or if he's transferring to a different department if you have that set up. Or if you choose auto, then it'll just auto detect what kind of punch it is. I'm going to go ahead and do that. It shows up gray because I haven't clicked on show results yet, but I'll go ahead and say he worked until 5 and click on punch. And I'll just leave it like that. So if I click on show results, it'll automatically know that this was in and then he clocked out at 5. And since this company has a meal and break rule set up, it's saying that since he worked 6 hours, he gets a 1-hour meal. And it shows at the bottom here also regular 8 hours, and then one of that was an unpaid meal down here. Okay, so you can also, instead of just clicking once, you can click and drag. Let's not do that though. Let's do down here. Let's say he worked 8 to 6 or 5. Yeah, it's 5. Okay, and I'm going to click hours since this is a group of hours, and we'll say he works 8 to 6, and these are all his normal hours. It'll show up gray, so if I click on show results, it shows his 9 regular hours and then 1 unpaid meal. You can also, if you click on this once, it'll go into edit mode where you can just hover over and view your edits. So I'm going to click on this. There's copy, there's cut, there's this grid option, there's an edit, and then there's a trash can for if you want to just delete this punch. So I'm going to choose this copy. And so now if I click over here, I have a paste option to do. And then it shows up gray and it's identical to what he had on this Tuesday. Okay. let's say that I want to edit this punch. There we go. And say he didn't actually work till 6, he just worked till 5 instead. I'm going to go ahead and save that, and that section shows up gray, so I'm going to show results. And then it shortens that by an hour. All right, so I'm going to put in a couple more punches. And let's see what his week looks like after he works on Friday. All right, so you can see down at the bottom, he's got regular hours, 8, 9, 8, 9, and then on Friday, since after 6 hours, it's in overtime, so it automatically detects there's 2 overtime for the week. And then over on the far bottom right, there's a running total for the entire pay period since I'm in the pay period view here. So he's got 80 hours for the week or for the pay period, 4 hours overtime, and then 10 of those hours is the unpaid meal that it shows. All right, so that is editing a time card. To verify time, there's an option where you can verify time here at the top of this drop down. The employee can verify time in their login, and also the supervisor or manager can verify here. If I just click on, say, the employee verified it, it'll show partially verified because this company is set up to have both employee and a supervisor or manager verified. You can also go to My Dashboard, which is above here in the menu, above Time Card. And this will give you a summary of what you have pending. A good screen to look at is the earnings summary of hours. And there are a lot of filtering options up here. The main ones that I would do is this pay group, or these filters under verification filters. Pay group, choose whatever pay group you're in. Then it allows you to choose the payroll run. Right now I have just a current pay period in here, but if you have, if you're reviewing time for payroll, maybe the pay period's already done and over with, so you're about to pay it out. There would also be an option here for prior pay period. And so if you're getting it ready for payroll, you'd want to choose that. So, but since this is the current pay period, I'm going to choose this one. You'd also want to probably check this box for include employees with no earnings. That way you can see everybody, not just the people who have time punched in here. All right, and then it also, since I've selected the current pay period, it has already selected my dates for the pay period. So I'm going to go ahead and choose apply. Okay, and then it gives me a summary of everybody's hours that they have punched in. Of course, mine is not complete because this is my kind of my practice environment that I use for setups. And if you, instead of going from time card to verify time, this is a more efficient way where you can either as a manager or supervisor, whichever login or role that you have, you can select all here and it automatically verifies the time for those employees. You can see all those green messages as those are being verified. And all these have to happen before we can do payroll. If you recognize that something doesn't look right, maybe you think, oh, she shouldn't have 94 hours, maybe she should have something less than that, or something just looks off, you can go straight to the time card by clicking this view button. And then you can look at that specific employee at more in depth on her individual time card and do edits from there. Okay. Jordan is going to finish us off by showing how this is done in payroll and how it's committed there.
Okay, so when you're done verifying the time and looking it over, you will go over here to the payroll processing, process payroll. From here, you will need to lock and commit the time cards. Once you lock the time cards, no more edits can be done to the time cards themselves. And then committing the time cards. So when you go to commit and there are still warnings, so down here, for example, it has a payroll processing that there's unverified time for one or more employees. A good report to look at, and it tells you in here, is the verification export. So that's going to be here under the time card review reports. You can click that and then click go. It'll take a second to load, but it'll pop up. Since it's an export, it's going to be an Excel, and it'll pop up down here on the bottom of the screen, and you'll just click that to open it. It will open up and tell you, for example, these people are not verified by the employee or the supervisor and manager. If that is okay, I mean, you can go back here into the commit time cards and ignore the warnings.
Unless it's a critical error, then it won't let you commit it. That's how we set it up. Usually, if it's a critical error, we can't process payroll if there's
Committed or
unverified time. But
so do I need to go back?
I mean, you can.
Okay, but as long as the warnings were all okay, you would click the ignore warnings, click the commit, and then it won't let me. Okay. So I'm just gonna go back real quick and go to my dashboard and verify their time. Again. Apply.
And this one's probably set up for both managers and supervisors to have to verify time along with the employee. Some companies we set up according to the client if you want either the manager or the supervisor. Some, they both have to do it. It just depends on your company.
And you saw those green boxes. One would pop up red if there was an error at all. And then also down here, these little arrows will drop down. So it'll say earnings. This is how many overtime, regular, and then unpaid meal they have. If you want to look at those specifically. Okay, so we're going to go back to the process payroll screen. Did I have to unlock? I'm going to try it again. I'm going to check the box and commit. So now it says that I'd have to uncommit. So from here, it goes into. So when you commit the time cards, the times will pop up here in the time entry grid themselves for you to see if you needed to, I don't know, add bonuses or anything like that to the employees themselves. But if that is good, then you can click preview payroll. And that gets it ready basically before processing. And then you could look at, we always recommend the current payroll register. That's what we like to check here. So you could run those reports and check out those reports. And then once you view and everything looks good to go to payroll, this button would say submit and you would click submit. And it would show up on our end that payroll had been submitted by you, and we could go ahead and take a look at it and process it. Some Common errors to ignore is sometimes up here it'll say the run date is after the impound date, and it'll say in red. That's okay to ignore. We don't really understand why it says that sometimes, but yeah, so that's basically getting it submitted and for us to see. If you made a mistake and noticed you had to make an edit, you could just uncommit and then unlock the time cards, and then you could go back in to the time cards themselves and make any edits that you wanted to make. If you click the submit button and realize you have to add something, we can unsubmit it for you. So you can just let us know and we can get it reset for you. Does anyone have any questions about anything that we went over or that you want us to go over again?
So that is how do managers verify time cards. That can be done most efficiently if we go to employee self-service and then to the My Dashboard. No, the client user done. I believe managers have this screen as well, yeah. So if they have anything to verify, it would show up here where, say, there's a pending punch or something pending for them to review, and they can click on that and it'll show them pending punches. This screen and these options are pretty good summaries of what's going on for the timekeeping. So that is how managers can verify time cards. They can also view time cards as well and verify if it's just one person, they can go through here and verify that they've approved it. This webinar is being recorded, so
They'll send out like a follow-up that has the recording on it, like through the campaign system that they sent out the registration for, the webinar itself. So you guys should all get to see that. Okay, well, if no one else has any questions, I mean, we'll stay on for another minute or two in case any questions come in, but otherwise, that's all we had for you today. And thank you for joining us, and we hope you have a great rest of your day.